Our story begins April of 2006, actually Easter of 2006. There was a guest pastor here at the church. We had been coming for a few months, and the pastor asked for an altar call. And something in my spirit moved and made an altar call and thought, this is the best decision of my life. Within a week or two later, Jodi at the time was pregnant, and we had the ultrasound at 21 weeks.
Yep.
And the ultrasound tech came in and said, we got to come back in just a second. They bring in all the doctors, and we knew something wasn't right. Angelina was our third child we were expecting. And they said that she had what's called a giant omphalocele. And what that is her insides were growing outside on top of her stomach. And she had her liver, intestines, and bowels growing outside. So with that chromosome disorder, there's other issues a baby can have. And so one of the recommendations they had is you may want to consider having an abortion for her. And we had already had the two girls. We were pretty shocked by the recommendation, and we had talked about it, and she said that you have to make a decision within 2 weeks, so up to 23 weeks. When we left the hospital, we were pretty distraught, as you can imagine. And I went into work to a friend of mine who had led me to Central Church, and we were crying at the table, and I was questioning, what is this about? I just gave my life to Christ, and we're having a discussion about aborting our child and going, this can't possibly be happening. So we went for a second opinion, and that second opinion was down in Milwaukee, and their recommendation was completely opposite. There were some issues that she had in addition to the omphalocele. She had a hole in her heart and some other things that were going on. And so we proceeded to go through, Jodi delivered Angelina at Children's Hospital in September of '06. And with a lot of prayer, once she was born, the hole in the heart had closed up, but she still had her outsides growing. And what they do is we had to wait for that process to somewhat heal on its own. And then there were going to be multiple surgeries. I think 5 surgeries.
3 to 5 surgeries, the doctor said, yep.
And also while going through that, they thought that she also might have cystic fibrosis. So through all of that, we had the first surgery. We were going down for the second surgery, and we're at the hospital. And we got a call while we were down there from the daycare saying that our middle child, Sophia, they think that she was having a seizure. So while we're going through this, we're thinking, this can't possibly be happening. And along those lines, we got back, we did a lot of testing for her and found out, in fact, that she was having seizures. And so we went right from the health issues of Angelina into Sophia. And along the way, she had those, they continued to progress. She had those up until age 12. Medications had stopped working. She started to have seizures in public and at school, and which was really hard for her. Her and Gabriella are only 11 months apart, so Gabriella would kind of come to her rescue at school. And so it was just, we knew it was a time to make a decision, and got multiple opinions, and the one that we settled on was doing brain surgery for her. They said there was about a 60% chance that it would be effective. They didn't know exactly where they were originating from. And so we make the trek back down in June of, 2015 to Children's Hospital, and we stay at Ronald McDonald House. And so they did the first surgery where they put probes in, hoping to find where the seizures are originating. I remember it's pretty hard watching your child seize because there are no medications and there's nothing you can do. And so I remember kneeling at her bedside and praying to God that, God, please have her seize. Please have the pictures that they see be crystal clear, that there's no question where they're coming from, that they come in and they know exactly what they have to do to take these from her. And the next morning, the head of the pediatric surgery for neurology came in, and I don't want to get too emotional about it, but said the exact words that I had prayed, and said that the pictures are perfect and it's exactly what we wanted to see. And this happened quicker than we've ever had, and just amazing confirmation from God to me personally, of him hearing our prayers. And so on July 3rd of 2015, she had her surgery. Along the way leading up to it, we would ask her how she felt, because we're making a potentially life-changing decision for her, that what if this doesn't work out? And Jodi and I prayed a lot about that and just had peace of going, if it doesn't work out the way we want, we just trust that God's got something planned then because of how he delivered Angelina. And matter of fact, Sophie, when we would ask her how she felt, she said, God took the seizures from me. And it was almost eerie, but there was this peace of going, you don't have to worry, God's taking these from me. And being a new believer and being kind of thrown into the fire of having to rely on God completely was terrifying, but also has changed the course of our life as a result of that.
And I think the course of our daughter's lives as well. I mean, I think that we actually just had the conversation recently with Angelina, and she said, when we were talking about my story at church, and she said, well, what's my story? And we're like, so we explained everything to her again. So it's just, I mean, God just works incredibly in our lives. And I guess going through it, you think that once you are saved and you have your salvation, that everything's going to go smoothly. But God says there will be troubles, but he will never leave us, never forsake us. He will always be here with us.
And his plans, I mean, we know his plans are greater than ours. And what I've realized personally, I like to control things. And for me, he allowed us to get to a place where the only option was to give up that control and complete surrender, which was incredibly uncomfortable, but I needed, you know, and we believe that, I mean, we know God can do anything. The surrender is a part of it. He could do it without us surrendering. But if he did that, there'd be a part of our human nature, or I'll say mine, that would say, well, yeah, but I did this. And there was no option of that. It was all glory to God that, no, God did this. And like I said, it's changed our lives and our kids' lives, and hopefully their kids in the future.